Welcome to our first Hunter River Forum. We've been wanting to do this, we've been talking about doing this for some time. Local Land Services coming up, it will be 10 years in the making. So there's been a learning process, there's been a bringing it together of several organisations, and getting it together has been the first thing, and then and I've always really been confident in this concept of local land services in that it is a holistic approach to the management of our catchment, the management of the land. And so bringing all the groups together and bringing the parts of government together was a common sense approach in my mind. So I'm chair of Hunter Local Land Services, and we have other board members here today. Dr. Liz McIntyre, hand up down there. Robin Parker, hand up down here, and Ali Mudford. Thanks Ali. We have other board members who are unable to be with us and with other commitments, which is good because we're a diverse range in the board and we bring a lot of different skills to the organisation. And I hope we add value to the organisation. And that's the role of a board, is adding value and adding diversity to the thinking, particularly in government agencies. Today, our welcome to country will be with Tim Miller, who's a Wanaruah descendant. So Tim, would you like to come up and start with that, please? Thank you very much.
My name's Tim Miller. I'm an Aboriginal descendant of the Wanaruah people. On a written history, we go back to the 1830s from down the Putty, road from Howes Valley up to Broke, Singleton and Muswellbrook. So a lot of people are worried about where we got our welcome to countries from and why we do welcome to countries. And it's not so much a welcome, it's an Aboriginal custom that when people would want to walk through the Hunter Valley. So the Hunter Valley was really traversed a lot from other mobs, and they would make their way to the coast and come back, and they would come and barter and trade. And if they come onto country and saw an Aboriginal community, they would light a fire, put the gum leaves on it, make it smoke, and that would bring attention to them, and then people would come over and ask them what they wanted to do, where they wanted to walk through. So that was where the welcome to country sort of came from, with the smoking ceremonies. And then there was a smoking ceremony to get rid of bad spirits and keep the good spirits. So we're not welcoming you onto your country. This is our country. So what we're doing is just letting you know this is a culture that the Aboriginal people did. So we have a culture, an active culture that's going back further than 45,000 years, and we are the continuous active culture in the world. So from that side of things, I'd like to welcome you onto country today. I'd like to show my respect to our elders past, present and future, and I'd also like to respect the stolen generation for what they had to endure. And it's nothing against the white people or the black people. We have a history within Australia. It's only 250 years old of written history. Some of it good, some of it not bad, but we need to keep our history so as we learn from our history. Other parts of the world, they're all wanting to damage and destroy and get rid of their past, but it's one thing that we should not be forgetting about what we did. And the only reason why I talk about is the stolen generation, because of my great-great-grandmother. She had to give up her child to keep her job at a property down the Howes Valley, to keep a job as a housemaid. So she gave up her son to keep the job, and we're lucky that there was a great family by the name of Cobcrofts that lived just north of Howes Valley that raised Harry Taggart, which is a good Aboriginal Australian name. But and we go from there, from the written history. But on my side of the family is there's two generations of Irish that came in. Now the Irish were accepted into the Aboriginal mobs because the Irish were treated as slaves as much as the Aboriginals were. So that's one of the reasons. So the Taggarts came in the 1830s, and then my mother and my grandfather was the Cassellies that came in, so they were all accepted into it. But so I'm the lighter colour. My cousin is Warren Taggart. He's the ugly one of the family. I'm the better looking one. So please have a great day. I wasn't going to hang around, but I'm going to hang around and watch what's going on. But please have a great day, and Toby will tell you some lies as well when he gets up here, so it'll be all good. There you are. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tim. A bucket load of years after Tim's been talking about, one of the Irish mob came up to the top of the valley, and with the first name of Dermot, that's my family and their descendants. So we've only been in the valley a couple of generations, so short time, Tim. But I like to tell the Newcastle people that I live at the back end of Newcastle Harbour. And that's because the top of the range is only 5 k's west of me. So I'm at Casslis, and I've been a farmer there all my life and my couple of generations before us, but that's only a short time, Tim. I acknowledge that. So thank you. Thank you for your welcome, Tim. Next will be Brett Miners. Brett's been our General Manager of Hunter Local Land Services since our beginning. Before that, he was down the southeast with Catchment Management Authority and grew up on the sort of the Cooma area, what they call a plain, but it's on a hill, but that's fine. So look, our General Manager, Brett Miners, thank you.
Thanks, Tony, and thanks also to Tim. And just building on from Tim's welcome, I'd like to pay respects on behalf of all the speakers today to the traditional owners of the lands and waters right across the Hunter catchment, because we are dealing with catchments, we're dealing with rivers, and I'd like to thank and acknowledge the work of all those traditional owners across tens of thousands of years in caring for land and caring for country. And I'd also like to pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging. And I'd like to extend that respect also to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people who are with us today. We're going to keep this fairly informal, so please don't feel this is going to be a starchy day that you're going to be spoken to all day. We're going to make it a lot more interactive, hopefully a lot more interesting than that. First of all, just a few safety matters. Emergency and evacuation. Look, the centre staff will actually coordinate that, but the short story for us is follow the green men signs. There's multiple exits, but we all actually track back around that side to where you came in at the car park. So the muster point, the rendezvous point, is just on the grass immediately behind the car park. So for anybody who hasn't been to this excellent facility provided by Singleton Council, and I'd like to thank them for the use of this great place today. Facilities, toilets are back through those back doors and turn left down that little corridor. I think that's probably it as far as, and basically in and out. Lunches will be lunches and morning teas, afternoon tea are just immediately at the back. Just to note, we will be recording through the audio-visual team today, and there will be some photos being taken. So if you don't want to appear into a video or have your photo taken, please just approach one of our LLS staff with the Wanaruah badge and just let them know. So we'll work out how we ensure that doesn't occur. We want to respect your privacy in that regard. I guess it's 2023 and we'd all be used to it now, but just to avoid embarrassment, please do double check that your mobile phone's on silent. Right, I think that's all the preliminaries. Let's jump into it. I guess as far as today, it is about supporting local action. Rivers, catchments are large, complex systems to manage, but we do know that the key to success is that localised action. So as far as that, building on that theme, if you could have picked up your, within your pack, you'll see the agenda there in front of you. And you'll see what we've tried to do is provide a really quite broad range of speakers. I won't steal any of their thunder. We're also going to provide lots of opportunities for your feedback. Some that's going to be old school paper, some that will be more modern through using SLIDO and things like that, but we'll walk you through that shortly. We also wanted to provide access to agencies because it's a really big topic that we're covering today, and realise that some people might have quite specific questions or queries. So thank you for all the agencies. So that the trade stall, if you like, is immediately the back. So really encourage you, if you've got specific questions, queries, concerns, please make sure you reach out and catch up with the relevant agency. As far as outcomes and where I'd like to think and we'd like to think we get to by the end of today is we'll have provided you with some new, hopefully stimulating information and insights, some different perspectives, provided you plenty of opportunity to connect with people who might be doing similar things, connect with land care groups, connect with agencies. We know that we actually can't manage the health of rivers on our own. It's going to have to take a very big collective effort. And I guess our hope also is that by the end of today, we're starting the process of creating something really enduring. So that the communities of the Hunter and its rivers, that we can connect and share and work together so that at the end of the day, we collectively care for the rivers of the Hunter. As Tony said, this is the inaugural Hunter River Forum. We would love to think this is going to be going in 10, 20, 30 years' time as more and more people get involved with caring for their local river, their stretch of the rivers, and hopefully over time, larger and larger scale programs. So, and a lot of how we create that future is going to be based on your feedback today. So please be thinking about what you need, what your local little community group might need, your land care group, and also I'm hoping many of people come here with your own picture and vision of what you want the river to look like in the future. So we're really wanting to hear from you in a few different ways so that your feedback will very much guide where we go from here. Or just before we jump into a little bit more detail, one of the examples we're going to use of capturing your feedback today is through Tatum Kenner, who's here at the front. Tatum's a graphic artist, so she's going to use and be capturing some of the stories and conversations and feedback from yourselves. Now, we're not all just like learning by listening or by reading, so hopefully we're going to be able to actually have some pictures and stories that help weave together the stories that we've all got so far and we want to be creating into the future. So that's just one example. I did mention that there are agencies available. We recognise it's a really big topic, very complex, lots of challenges. So if you don't find an opportunity to have the conversation, raise the question today, that piece of paper up back left corner, it's a parking lot. So if there's things that come up that, you think, I really wanted to get this addressed, please put it down there. If issues or topics come up in conversation and we go, that's going to take us kind of sideways from where we're trying to go, we'll put that on the parking lot. That's so that we don't lose it, and we'll get some notes and make sure that we can do follow-up with anyone who's got something that we can't fit into the conversations of today. So please keep that in mind as well. Okay. I think we're doing well with time, which is encouraging. A couple of things. If you actually look at the Hunter River Management Plan, you'll see we've actually made an attempt to just do a very brief summary of some of the key items of managing the Hunter River, Hunter Rivers, over the last, going back to 1945. Recognise Aboriginal communities have been managing the resources of this landscape for tens of thousands of years, and many of us will have family connections that go way beyond earlier than 1945. I'm not going to delve into that because I rather suspect Scott Bevan and Cameron Archer will be touching on some of those things. So I guess the point of putting that up is I really want to acknowledge the work of many individuals, many groups, many agencies over at least the last 50 or 60 or 70 years that have actually been helping in some informal or formal ways to actually manage the rivers that we love and care about. So LLS isn't turning up and going, we're the new guys on the block here, we're all to fix it. No, we're really just trying to be really good stewards of all that activity, that passion, that science from the past, and then take that forward even more strongly and more cohesively. Do need to recognise that river management is complex. I reckon at times it is mind-boggling complex. We've got thousands of landholders and land managers, each with their own private property rights. Some people's title runs to the centre of the stream, some's a chain back for the stream. That's just one part of the complexity. You've got land care groups, you've got a whole heap of legislative frameworks. And so I think it's one of the things that we hope will be an outcome from today is just providing a bit more clarity, a bit more certainty. Who do I go to? How can I get that assistance? How do I involve my local Aboriginal Land Council, as an example, in a project that you're running? So I thought it's really important. We're not going to be able to answer all your questions today, nor are we pretending that we can create total clarity out of that complexity. But obviously that's part of what we intend to do over coming months and years as we collaborate. I guess a reflection of that complexity is how many organisations are involved, how many reports are involved. If you think there's a whole range of organisations who set out their vision, their priorities, their actions for managing and having a healthy catchment, having healthy rivers, right back to the early days, the Healthy Rivers for Tomorrow. That was a report developed by the Natural Resources Commission of New South Wales that built on not just their reports into the Hunter Rivers, there's at least 2 that I know of, but it's actually tried to capture all the knowledge and the learnings from across New South Wales and more broadly about how do we actually undertake this really complex task or set of tasks in setting up rivers to be healthy, not just for today but into the future. I guess cut to the chase and the point of today is that the Hunter River, through our Hunter River Management Plan, we've tried to draw on all that knowledge, all that history to build something that covers a lot of bases, I think is the best way I could describe it. So, oops, go that one. So this is just the objectives that are in the Hunter River Management Plan, and I thought it was worthwhile starting today with a focus on that. You can see it does what most plans does. It sets up a range of objectives, and I know some of us will have a little voice in their head that says, yeah, but no plan's actually ever gone out and fixed something. I want to recognise that, but we find it really valuable because it helps to focus our attentions. There's lots of things we could be doing. There's lots of issues and challenges for sustainable agriculture, natural resource management, emergency management. But I thought I'd just draw your attention to a couple of specific ones today. Probably the first and most important is vesting ownership of management of the Hunter River in the community. Governments can't do it. Governments don't own the rivers. In fact, you'd probably say that nobody owns the rivers, or it's held in the collective, which is part of the complexity. But that's one of the outcomes that we mentioned here today, is that we really want to give the river a voice, and we want to do that by actually having more and more of us who care about the river, who are trying to improve its condition, coming together and working more and more cohesively over time. And then there's some real fundamentals as far as, we need to obviously improve the ecological health, and we'll hear lots of conversations about that today. Reduce erosion and maximise soil stability, because we know you can't just manage a river in isolation. And finally, obviously, just to manage the land and the rivers to reduce flood risk. There's lots of complexities. If anyone's read Scott Bevan's book, he describes it wonderfully, in my opinion, having just finished the last chapter last night. Scott? Also, I think it's important to acknowledge there's a range of challenges for managing the Hunter River, whether they come from climate change impacts. Again, we know there's been floods and big floods in the past. One of the expectations, unfortunately, is that we'll have larger, more frequent floods impacting on our rivers, and that'll be interspersed with periods of sharper and deeper droughts as well. Management of in-stream vegetation is often a vexed matter. There's legislative challenges, there's a whole heap of geomorphic considerations that need to go into that. And leading on from that, recovering rivers are often messy rivers, or they can be perceived as messy rivers. I'm sure Kirsty Fryers, who will speak to us soon, looks at a recovering river and thinks that's the most beautiful thing she's seen. Someone else looks at it and goes, oh my goodness, imagine the amount of snakes coming out of that. So just want to recognise that there's different views and perspectives, and part of our challenge and opportunity is, well, how do we actually get a common understanding, how we have a good basis of science, understand what social needs are, what production needs, what water access needs are, and actually how do we do our best to actually do all of those things together more cohesively. We've got changed landscapes. The Hunter River's never going to look the same as to the Aboriginal communities experienced, the first settlers experienced, but that doesn't mean that we actually can't do some very substantial improvements that actually take it from where our river systems are now to actually be better, more productive, more accessible, etc. So just want to acknowledge there are those range of challenges. That's why I expect we'll still be, hopefully in 10 or 20 years' time, through whatever this forum's evolved into, continuing to talk and work and explore what that means and actually how do we take the next steps. So I guess that takes us on to the opportunities for management of the Hunter Rivers. And I just want to thank everybody who's come today for the things you've tried, for your commitment, for your interest, and also your participation. As I mentioned earlier, your feedback today is actually going to really help set the future. So I guess these are wrapped up in what we hope you will take away from today. So, not enough talking from myself, and we'll go to our Slido. So just to start off, we want to actually start capturing, what's your vision for a healthier and hunter vibrant rivers? This could be your local river. It could be a very small patch of your local river. You might have a broader vision over the whole of the Hunter catchment and its many rivers. I think we might at the end of this see if Scott Bevan's interested in paddling all of the Hunter's rivers. It's wonderful that he's done the Hunter River twice, but there's many more that obviously an integral part of the Hunter River that we love. I think at this stage, Laurie... No?
If anybody's having trouble accessing the Slido, pop your hand up and I'll come around. But if you just scan the QR code, see some participation already, so thank you.
Okay, so there'll be a series of Slidos, and we'll do some at the end, but we'll just give you a couple of moments to kind of think about, what is your vision? Because what your vision is going to help set what we, LLS, needs to do and how collectively we can work on that. And we'll bring those results back at the end of the day. And if anybody hasn't used Slido before, our alternative is there are bits of paper where, Laurie, for people can write the manual method.
Yep, they sure can. Or, just raise your hand and we're happy to put your input in to appear up on the screen. You can also scan the QR code that's in your welcome packs as well, which will get you to the same place.
Okay, while that's occurring, Joe Tendro, I'm going to introduce Joe to come up. Joe's also going to assist us with, building in and combining your feedback throughout the day, helping you to participate and make sure your voice for the Hunter River is captured today.
Thank you all. My name's Jo Taranto and I've come up from Sydney. So thank you for not only welcoming me to country, Tim, but also for letting me in to the catchment. It feels really good to be here. Someone else is like, no, go back. I actually have worked with the Parramatta River catchment in Sydney for a number of years, and that has been my passion. And I'm here today to share some of the lessons that I've learnt from that work, but also to help unlock some of our sparkle today, which is sure to set a few eyes rolling. But I am like the sprinkles on top of the ice cream sundae. I'm going to try and unlock some of the joy, some of the passion, so that you don't sit there going, well, that's all been very nice, but what now? My job is to get you connected with the people next to you and to get you feeling like you've come away with a much richer social connection as much as a better understanding of your beautiful catchment. No biggie, right? So I'm going to get you, first of all, to turn to the person next to you. If you're not sitting on your own, that's the first lesson today. We don't sit on our own at these events because it's going to make activities. So if you're sitting on your own, you're going to reach around to the nearest person, and I want you to turn to that person and I want you to shake their hand and say, "G'day." And now I want you to find someone else that you can't, that's a bit further away. So it didn't take much, Hunter, did it? It did not take much. All right.
We're actually running a bit.
Yeah, behind.
So
Oh, early? Got a bit more time? Okay, perfect. Okay. I did not need to do very much at all. Today is going to be good. Beautiful. Now, I want you to make eye contact with someone you have never met before. And this is going to play really well into something we're going to talk about soon. Someone you've never met before, and you have to keep your lips closed for this one. Lips closed, eyes at a stranger. It's an awkward experience. And I want you to smile at that stranger. It could be awkwardly, it could be cheekily. I want you to smile. If you don't have a stranger in the room, look at me and smile. That helps. Beautiful. Today is about richer connections from all sides. So that's what we're going to do. And you are going to have no problem at all. The other thing we're going to be doing today is trying to capture our vision for the future. And that includes having a say. That is a free experience of you to be able to put your ideas down. I'm going to just wait till I get some silence. I was never a school teacher, but my parents were. It's ingrained. Don't make me say eyes this way. All right, so on your folder, you've got a beautiful traffic light system here, and we have 3 tables and one on each side, so 6 tables, and they also have yellow, orange, and green signs. So what we're going to do throughout the day, right now if you want, we're going to get you to ponder 3 questions. On the yellow piece of paper, I'm going to get you to ponder how you can contribute to improving the health and resilience of the Hunter Valley's rivers. And I want you to be specific, not just like, oh, I can talk to more people, I can go to meetings. Like, I really want you to drill down about what it looks like. What is your secret skill that maybe people don't know about? Are you an amazing graphic recorder or an artist or a songwriter? Or can you grow plants that no one else can? I don't care. I want to know what it is that you can bring to this story that perhaps people have never really asked or never known before. On the green tables, on the far tables, or on your green cards, we're going to ask you, who do you need to be working with to achieve improvement? Who's not in the room? Who haven't you met yet? Who would you like to see at future forums? And then the final one, the orange card, I want you to talk about what opportunities do you need to achieve this. So you have multiple post-its, and they're fancy post-its. They're not just any old post-its either. They're quite sticky, very robust, and there's multiple ones, and there are more on the table. So if you feel like you've got lots and lots of ideas, then please make sure you pop those down throughout the day. So on each of the breaks, and then this afternoon we're going to come back to that session. I wanted to know who in the room knows less than 5 people that you've met before. Everyone knows at least 5. That's me. Excellent. Okay, there's a couple. Anyone in the room know less than 10 people that you've met before? Excellent. Anyone know more than 20? All right. Your job today, and I'm going to talk about it in my session, is to meet at least 3 people. Now, that doesn't seem like very many, but I mean like 3 really juicy connections that you walk away going, I know that person and I know how I'm going to reach out to them. So we're going to talk about a little bit more about how to do that. But one of the things we do when we have a first interaction with people, and it can be a little bit awkward and a bit like, what do you do? I live here, my name is we actually put strings of conversation into what we say. So if I meet you today, and please come and say hello to me, I'm one of the 2 people in the room who know less than 5 people, I'm going to say, my name's Jo, I live in North Ryde, and I have 2 sons. How are you? All of a sudden, you know 3 things about me that you can grab onto. You might want to not grab onto any of those, but if you want to talk about Sydney, you can talk about that. If you want to talk about parenting or boys or the fact that I've driven up here this morning, you've got something to go on. So give people strings of conversation. It certainly makes it easier to grab onto something. I don't care if you have to talk about how good the cake is. That's probably a pretty great place to start. But remember, today is as much about learning as it is about connecting, and I can't wait to talk to you more shortly.
Thanks, Jo. And look, just encourage people to dive into those opportunities. Having been involved in river and catchment management for over 30 years, I've seen exactly the process that Jo's supporting us with this work wonders in transforming people's local landscapes. Okay, now I would like to introduce the first of our keynote speakers, and that's Cameron Archer. And rather than probably do the boring standard bio, sorry Cameron, not that your bio is boring, but I've got something far more personal. When I first moved to the Hunter catchment to take on this general manager role 10 years ago, one of the very first people I met, Jo, was Cameron Archer. And Cameron was very gracious in saying, hey, would you like me to take you for a drive? So we jumped into Cameron's somewhat beat up white Subaru, I recall, and Cameron took me on the most marvellous tour of the Patterson and the Williams rivers, I think it was, if I've got my geography right. We drove right up to the top of one catchment, jumped across and then drove all the way back down. Cameron speaking and us talking all the while through. And so as far as my induction to at least the first 2 of the rivers of the Hunter catchment, Cameron was my guide and provided a very rich social and cultural and agricultural context to that.